Hey everyone. So now that we've powered up the board, downloaded the necessary software, which includes the SDK, the device driver, the tool chain, and the optional IDE, it's time to compile one of the demos and run it on the board. For this demo, I will be using the Windows instructions, but the instructions for the other operating systems can be found on the webpage and on the Getting Started PDF that comes with the SDK. The instructions are pretty similar to the Windows, so you shouldn't have any trouble following along if you're using any other operating system. And so first, we're going to be using GCC command line to compile the code, and then we will be using OpenOCD plus Telnet to flash it onto the board. And then we will use Eclipse to both compile the code and flash it onto the board. One more thing before we get started is to make sure that the board and the debugger are both connected like what was shown in the first video. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing you want to do is open up the Vega SDK directory, then go to boards, RV32M1 Vega, demo apps, hello world, and then since the board is pre-configured to boot up from the RI5CY core, we will run the demo on that core. Then we will be using the GCC command line first, so double click on the RISC-V GCC folder. And as you can see, there are two build configurations. There's a debug and then there's the release. For the purpose of this video, we will be using the debug configuration. So double click on the build debug batch file. In this window, you can see the build progress, and once it's done, press any key. And let's say if you wanted to build the release configuration, you would double click on build release batch file. And if you wanted to build both at the same time, you would double click on the build all batch file. Okay, so now let's go into the debug folder. Here is where the output of the build is located. And so what you want to do is copy the path of this folder and then open a terminal. And then within the terminal, change the directory to the path you just copied. All right, so once you do that, it's time to run OpenOCD by typing the following. So right now it's waiting for a telnet connection. In order to do that, you have to open another terminal and type the following. All right, so once it connects, in order to flash the code onto the board, you need to type program hello underscore world dot elf. All right, so once the programming finishes, you want to open up a serial terminal. I use TerraTerm, but you can use PuTTY or any other one. Connect to the mbed serial port, then change the baud rate to 115,200, 8-bit data, no parity, 1 stop bit, and no flow control. All right, once you have that set up, you want to go back to the telnet terminal and then type in reset to run the demo. And as you can see, you should be able to see the hello world message on the serial terminal. And then you can also type any character in there since it's set up to echo any character that is typed. And that's about it for the demo using GCC command line. All right, so now it's time to build and run the demo using Eclipse. So what you want to do now is open up Eclipse. Select a workspace. You can either use an existing one or create a new one. All right, so once Eclipse loads, we need to import the Hello World demo. And we do that by going to File, Import, General, Existing Projects into Workspace. Then go to Browse and navigate to the Vega SDK folder. Once in that folder, go to Boards, RV32M1 Vega, Demo Apps, Hello World, and as we did before, the RI5CY core. So now instead of clicking on the RISC-V GCC, click on the RISC-V Eclipse and click Select Folder. All right, so once you do that, you want to click Finish, and the Hello World demo should now be imported into Eclipse. If you can't see it, then click on this Window Restore button, which opens up the Project Explorer, and here it is. Now, just like the GCC command line, this also has two build configurations, which can be accessed through here. There's a run and a debug. Run is just like the release configuration GCC. And so for the purpose of this video, we will be using the debug configuration. Now click on the debug configuration and then click on the little hammer to build the project. And you can see the progress of the build in the console tab. Once that finishes, before we can download the demo onto the board, we have to make sure that we've closed all the terminals we opened up whenever we ran the demo using the GCC command line, or else the Eclipse IDE won't be able to connect to the JLink debugger. So let's do that right now. Once you close all those terminal windows, it is now safe to download the demo onto the board. This can be achieved by clicking on the little bug button right next to the hammer. Once Eclipse finishes downloading the demo onto the board, before we can run it, let's open up a serial terminal window like we did last time. Make sure the baud rate is 115,200. Once that is set up, go back to Eclipse and click on the play button, which is called the resume button. Then go back to the serial terminal window and you'll be able to see the hello world message. And like last time, we can type characters and they will be echoed. To terminate the debug session, click on the stop button. Well, congrats guys. You've successfully built and ran a demo using GCC command line plus OpenOCD and then using Eclipse. In the next video, we will learn some more useful tricks like cloning SDK demos and incorporating SDK demos into your projects.